It's an interesting thing you said about some of the reasoning behind it, and it was one of the motivations I had was that control of your own destiny. Now, how's the reality of that been, Martin?
Well, I guess, yeah, going in and starting a business off, and then, within the first year having a global pandemic, I guess that's presented its challenges. Look, I mean, I think what I did when I set up the business, and I'm sure it was the same with you, I tried to surround myself with people that I trusted, and that was both in terms of sort of doing the marketing strategy piece, and my accountant is one of my best friend's dads at the moment, and I've got sort of people that I know from IT and all the kind of basis of running a business, which I was lucky to do. But yeah, I mean, it was incredibly challenging. I couldn't touch any of my clients for 6 months. I had a restrictive covenants on that. So that was incredibly tough to say, thanks, but I can't talk to you for 6 months. So I had to innovate, and I had to go out there and do, at the cold front of it, which I hadn't done for a few years, which I actually think was really healthy for my professional development, and going out there and talking to businesses that I just simply didn't know. And I couldn't just say, we've always worked together. That's just not a sales strategy.
So if somebody's listening to this podcast thinking about taking that leap, that next step and going out on their own, what words of advice would you give them?
I mean, do it.
Okay,
Firstly,
that's good.
I would say definitely do it. Take the risk. What have you got to lose? There'll always be. For me, when I started the business, it was there will always be a job out there for another agency if I need it, and it'll be the same with all of your listeners in the markets that they do. But look, I think what I would say is make sure, I used the word earlier and I use it a few times today, but make sure you're authentic and you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't just do it for money. I haven't set up this business just for a monetary gain. Yes, of course, hopefully if I scale it, I might be in a fortunate position to one day sell the business. But for me, I set it up for the reasons of I want to do something different. I wanted to build better relationships, and I kind of wanted to do it my way. So I think as long as that's the core of someone and why they want to do it, then absolutely, go and do it.
I think in the evolved terms and in my language, I talk to that about having sort of focus, passion, and belief.
Yeah,
and that's where it needs to start from. If you start with focus, passion, and belief, when times do get tough and a pandemic hits, then you're focused on right, what can I do now? And I've got belief and passion that this is going to come good. If you don't start with that, then what may have happened March, April last year when the phone stops ringing is you just ebb away from it and go and find a new thing, and you've just played at it. So
and there's temptations there. I mean, there was for me last year. The temptation was to just go, actually, it's been tough and whatever. But you got to back yourself. And the passion word, I couldn't agree with it more. I'm very, very passionate about recruitment. I'm passionate about connecting people. I love that. And if it's something that you love, then absolutely, go out and then do it.
Clearly, you've achieved success. You've got some momentum. What do you think some of the qualities that have been essential in you getting that momentum have been?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think firstly it's being adaptable, whether that's being adaptable in terms of sort of communication style for the appropriate audiences, or to adapt to adversity, or a change in market. So I think certainly being adaptable is one. I think the number one thing for recruiters is being a good listener. It's very easy in any sales job to just talk at people and sell your product, but I think actually you've got to be able to listen. You can't be good in recruitment or any sales job if you can't listen. You won't be able to understand what the need is. I think listening allows you to build empathy and rapport. So I think that's a real sort of key quality to have as well in any business leader, and understand your audience, understand your team. You can sell in, but if you don't understand it, you're not going to be able to deliver. And I think I've used this word before, but I think being authentic, that means a lot to me. It's grounded, it's honest, it's being real to the people around you. And as a result, people are more likely to buy into that and allow you to build a credible business.
So back to your own journey, what are the things that keep you up at night, Martin, now you're 2 years in?
I think for me, it is sometimes hard to switch off from certain things. I think what keeps me up at night is, is Brad happy? Is he, is he people I'm sort of having the business, are they enjoying it? Are they engaged? Are they energized? Do they believe in our core values? Few clients, certainly from payments and things, because you're at the cold front of it, and there is a few slippery things there, and Again, do the clients get us? I think the stresses at night are probably more from new clients than pre-existing.
Okay.
So new clients, when we've onboarded them, it's why are they working with us? And in that early stage of the relationship is, do they understand our business and what are they looking to get out of this? Because they can sometimes say one thing, but sometimes actions could be another. So I think it's more the new clients that we're investing time with, and do they get us, and are we getting them, and are we understand them? Because the worst thing is you get a new client on, you don't deliver. That first impression is everything in business. And I'd hate to think that someone, wasn't happy with our service. So that's probably the biggest
client service.
The client service thing, particularly in the new business.
Our clients happy. And in terms of you've continued to develop yourself, should tell the listeners you're a member of one of the Evolve peer groups, which is great to have you as participating in one of those groups. So you've continued to develop yourself as an individual. That's clearly been a really conscious decision. Yeah.
I've had to. I would describe myself as an immature business owner, compared to certainly a lot of the great guests that I listen to on your show. And I'm learning all the time. I think, to be clear, you should learn in business all the time, whether you're 2 years in or 32 years into a business. You should always be evolving and learning, and there you go, evolving, and learning and developing. And I think for me, I know how to recruit, but I don't know how to run a business. It was essentially what was my attitude when I set up. So, and you've got to take the learns on the way. So I make a conscious effort. The Evolve peer group is fantastic, learning from business leaders of different levels of maturity. I think the biggest learns are from those that make mistakes, and they share those mistakes with individuals and different events and people that I've spoken to that said, look, don't do this. And it's easy to pick out bits of advice from different people, but I think the biggest learn is from things you've done well as not done so well. But
I'm always the bad evolving. And the mad, isn't it? It's of life and business. Yeah, you've got to understand it all.
Yeah, wouldn't life be dull if you just ran a business that it was always it's all fine. You want to challenge yourself, you want to push yourself, but that also can create challenges on the way. And I think that's actually part of the excitement and the enjoyment of running a business.
And what do you think the best piece of advice you've ever received is then? You talk about listening to others, but what's that bit of advice you've perhaps received? And maybe going back to your career days, not necessarily now.
Definitely. I think it was my first recruitment agency that I worked in London. One of the directors there talked to me about creating my own identity. When I started out in recruitment, I was just literally just watching the people around me that were very successful and just trying to copy it and mimic what they were doing because it worked for them, so it worked for me. But actually, sometimes when you take yourself in a uncomfortable situation, which isn't naturally something you would do, you're not always going to perform. So I think creating your own identity, picking bits from different people is what he told me, and actually then create your own, Martin Smith, rather than just trying to be this person or this person, has the thing that's probably put me in best stead and, allow me to create that. So I'd say that was probably the bit that I've picked up on the most in my career.